Hey everyone, Ryan here, and welcome to my review of the 2024 Ambush on Mandalore Battle Pack. Given set number 75373, it has 109 pieces and costs the standard rate for battle packs in 2024, $20. What isn't standard about this battle pack, though, is the box size. The box is much more squared off than other battle pack boxes of years past. It's the same box shape and size as the 2013 battle packs were. You probably don't care as much about the shape of the box, though, versus what's actually inside of it, and inside of this one, we have no numbered bags, just the bricks to build the battle pack. And in the instructions, there's actually something interesting. At the very back, it tells you can expand play by combining sets, but there's actually two different ways you can do it with this specific battle pack. You can do it by buying more than one battle pack and combining them together. But more interestingly, you can combine this with the Paz Vizsla and Moff Gideon battle. And in my review of that set, I go much more in depth on how that works, but I'll briefly show it off in this video too. As most battle packs do, this one also has 4 minifigures, and we'll start by taking a close look at the Mandalorian warrior, who has a rangefinder attached to the helmet that can be pushed down to a different position if you please. The helmet overall looks very nice and is a unique print for this character. We also have a very nice torso print, nice leg printing, just overall very well detailed figure, and of course he's got a jetpack. Now, I did find it quite interesting that the head underneath is just a black head. So we did not get a face with this one, unlike the Mandalorian pilot that was released in 2023, although that one was supposed to be a specific character. The second minifigure is the Mandalorian Night Owl, and this one, while having the same accessories as the Mandalorian Warrior, looks much different because the prints are just completely mixed up. They didn't reuse anything from one figure to another here. They really changed it up to make it as accurate as possible, so I really love that on this figure. But of course, as mentioned, you're just going to have that black head underneath. I think the two Mandalorians in this set are excellent, and really the only thing you could want out of it is maybe faces underneath, but personally I don't really mind. Next up, we've got a pair of Imperial Commandos, and I thought I was going to love these figures. I don't think I love them after having them in hand. I think I like them, but I'll explain why I don't love them. I think the first thing they did really well on this character was make a new helmet mold for it. It looks so good with the dual mold for the gray and the white. When looking inside of the helmet, you can kind of see how intricate that work is done. We've also got a nice jetpack on this figure and the accompanying 1x1 printed tile. Underneath all of that, there's still back printing, which is nice, but I still find unnecessary. On the front of the figure, we got one of my favorite things is when you have continuous printing going from the torso down to the hips and the legs, and specifically in the hip area, you can see they've lined everything up very nicely. On a lot of figures these days, they'll leave the hips plain white, but they added in a lot of extra detail on these Imperial Commandos, which is awesome. Underneath, you're just going to find a plain black head once again, so kind of interesting. All 4 figures in the set just have plain black heads. Kind of reminds me of the old days of Lego Star Wars, to be honest. Now, I gotta say, what I really don't like on this figure has got to be the visor print. I think the main reason why is it reminds me of a knockoff of itself. It feels like the black lines are just too thick, like something's going on there. I'm not the only one. You might not feel the same way, but I definitely feel that way about this figure, having seen a lot of knockoffs in my day. But if you don't have that frame of reference, you might not make that connection and it might not matter to you. Now, the other thing I don't like about it is I think it just runs a little bit too high. You can see in the show quite clearly that the top of the black print and the top of the gray for the mold should be effectively aligned even, but on the actual Lego figure, the black goes much higher. All they would have to do is shift the print down slightly and maybe thin out the lines a little bit, but yeah, I think it ends up looking a little bit awkward because it, to me, looks like a knockoff print of its own helmet, which is the best way I can describe it. I might not buy as many as I originally intended, now having seen it in hand. Overall, though, good battle pack minifig selection, allowing you to build 2 armies at once. Let's get into the other parts included. The first part of this build is a very small cannon, and it's very similar to what we saw in the 2023 332nd battle pack, but you can essentially just fire off a stud like that. It works nicely. It's a very small added play feature that I'm sure kids will enjoy, but as a collector, I don't really care for it. There's also a small crate included in the set. This one does match what you'll see in the bunker set, but inside we have a thermal detonator, which is pretty neat. Something small, hidden, fun. I do find myself slightly frustrated by the fact that there isn't really a spot for this crate in the set. I mean, you can place it down anywhere, of course. It's just Lego studs, but it doesn't really feel like there's a proper spot for it, and on the box, they don't show it on the build either. I feel like throughout most of Lego Star Wars history, I would have looked at this build and been like, why the heck is this in a battle pack? It's not army buildable. It doesn't look very good, but, you know, while those things may still be true, it definitely serves a really good purpose here, both for the way this battle pack comes together with how these characters met in Mandalorian Season 3, and as far as attaching it to the other build that this set combines with in the Mandalorian Bunker. But first off, we got to talk about how the Mandalorians would kind of walk through the caves to get out, and yeah, they walk through the caves. I mean, there's not much of a cave behind here, but I suppose if you got more of the battle packs, you could build up a cave system behind it, which could be a really neat use of having many of these battle packs if you decided to army build it. So I'd be interested to see if someone ended up actually doing that. But regardless, the idea is there, and I do like it, although it might be a little bit of a low clearance there with the rangefinder on to get the Mandalorian through. But I still think that whole concept is incredibly cool of how it kind of helps recreate the scene from the show in a battle pack. It's very rare for that to be the case. Now, on the side of this, you actually have some lights, the translucent white and the translucent red there. It's kind of surprising that on the inside of the build, they include an extra long rifle stored inside on a clip for no real reason, because all of the other figures already have their weapons. None of them use a long rifle. Of course, you could just switch it out and let them use it, I guess. But usually they don't include an extra weapon if you don't need one, but they did here, so cool, I guess. On the outside, there's also ample space to place down the Imperial Commandos, so I love that they give you such a large platform of space there. That's something that can't be said about the Imperial Bunker that is, you know, the accompanying set, so I just love that it feels like the minifigs aren't too squished together for a battle pack build of all things. Now, to me, quite clearly, the killer function of this battle pack build is allowing one of the Mandalorians to look like they're flying on this clear piece here. It's something that is really from the Lego superhero sets. This idea hasn't really been done in Lego Star Wars, and it's on a ball joint with a little handle at the back, so this is actually going to allow you to hold on to this and move the character around. Having widened the angle, you can get a really good idea of how you can make it look like the Mandalorian is flying or swooping into battle here. Like, it's just super cool to be able to do this with a build this small. It's something that I totally would not have expected out of this, but ultimately I think makes the set, especially to make it a very dynamic display where you have a character swooshing in. That's really cool. I do really wish, though, there was a second one of these so you could have one of the Imperial Commandos, who obviously also have jetpacks, flying against it. I think that would have been really neat. It is a battle pack build at the end of the day, though, so I do really appreciate the one. And of course, you can modify it if you get more than one, as it is a battle pack and you probably would be interested in buying more than one anyway. I do briefly want to show combining sets to expand play with the larger Mandalorian Bunker set, and while there are a couple of different ways you can connect it, I think this one is the optimal way to connect it as far as looks go and just the way the scene would kind of play out in my head. At least I do think it is a combo worth having, and as a battle pack, though, I also think it's a good like multiple purchase battle pack. Of course, they say that you can combine the battle pack builds together. I think you'd be better off rebuilding them in your own way, because I just think it looks ugly in the instructions the way that they've done it. But regardless, I do think that this is a really good army builder. You can build that Mandalorian army up, you can build up that Imperial Commando army, and as long as you're not thrown off by that knockoff-esque looking helmet print, at least in my opinion, you're gonna really love this set. I think it's an excellent battle pack with one of the most unique type of builds that we've ever seen in a battle pack. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think about this set and its figures in the comments section below. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you hit the like button, and you can check out more 2024 set reviews on the end screen now.